And hello everyone, and welcome to our International Women's Day Minecraft live lesson for 2022. My name is Megan Towns. I'll introduce myself a little bit more in a moment, but I first wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge that I am coming to you live from the land of the Mulgoa tribe on the Darug lands, and acknowledge First Nations people present with us today. As well as past, present and emerging First Nations peoples. This land always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So let's dive into the live event that we've got coming to you today. First of all, just to note that captions and subtitles can be turned on. I'll show you how to do that really soon. And this is a Teams live event, so you won't be able to use your camera or mic, but we will show you how you can engage with us in just a moment. So today we're going to look at a very specific Minecraft lesson called Good Trouble with Malala Yousafzai. We'll learn a little bit more about Malala really soon. And I've also got Amanda Frampton joining me as well. We're actually both ex-teachers. So we both were high school teachers, I think, at various points in our lives. But now we work on the Microsoft team here in Australia, and specifically on the education team. So I help schools' IT departments to use, and Amanda teaches teachers how to use our technologies. But we're super excited today to be delivering this live lesson, which will hopefully see you as students in your classroom with your teachers watching on and supporting as we deliver the live lesson to you. So important to note with this live lesson, and we'll talk about the controls in just a moment, but important to note is that teachers will be able to pause the live lesson as needed. So if we give instructions or if there's, a need for the class to pause for whatever reason, school happens, maybe somebody comes to the door and you need to pause, maybe you've got a leak in the roof, day and age, and you just need to pause the lesson. Feel free to do that at any point. The good thing is that you can use the same link. Teachers who clicked on the link to join this lesson, that link will work again later. You can come back and use it like a recorded video, basically. There's two ways that you can ask questions. If you're a teacher, there's a Q&A panel that's a part of this Teams live event experience. Teachers can use that. And then students, there will be a form where you can ask questions, and I'll share that link for you in just a moment. So get ready to write that down. Or if you've got a mobile device, including iPads, you'll be able to take a photo of the QR code to get to that form soon as well. So,
Megan,
like I said,
that link is already in the live event Q&A, so everyone can gear up and get ready if they'd like to use that one.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, yeah, have those questions come in at any time. Like I said, Q&A for teachers and the form for students. So let's keep it all positive as well via those forms and obviously appropriate questions that are relevant to what we're doing today. When it comes to the live event, so this is probably more instructions for teachers controlling the live event at the front of the room. The controls that you see down on the bottom left as well as the right-hand side of the screen, we recommend you do go full screen unless you want to ask those questions. But over on the left-hand side, you'll see a play button, which also allows you to pause the event. You'll see some volume to be able to control that. You can also use your actual device volume. And then the little white button, the white circle that you'll see move as the live event takes place, you can use that to basically rewind and move forward as required. Then in the bottom right-hand corner of your viewing screen, you'll be able to turn closed captions on or off. That will happen automatically if you want to turn those on. Go full screen, like I said, or you've got some settings there for video quality if your internet's not doing so well today, which mine may indeed do. And then that Q&A for teachers, as I said, is in the top right-hand corner. just click on the question mark icon, and that's where you'll be able to see the links that Amanda posts in, as well as ask any questions. Now, Amanda or myself will answer those in the background, or if it's relevant, I'll also say it out loud during the call as well. We are extremely live today. This is not pre-recorded. So yeah, you can show and hide that Q&A panel, pop your name in if you wish. It'd be great to hear where you're from, and then type that question in. You've also got the option to post it anonymously, which is totally fine. I already mentioned the closed captions, but let's talk to them again because accessibility is important. You can select the captions or subtitles in your viewing experience. Like I said, just click on the CC button or the settings button down in the bottom right-hand corner of the call. That student form that I mentioned, this is where you can quickly write this down or type it into a browser window if you are on a device, or use your camera to take a photo of that QR code to go directly to the form. It's a really simple form. All you need to do is pop your first name in there. Stay safe online, only put your first name in. We don't need to see your last name. And then ask that question or even an answer. If I perhaps ask a question as part of the lesson, you can pop the answer in and I'll be able to say, hey, Maddie, you got that question right by answering whatever the answer is. So yeah, feel free to use that form at your leisure throughout this lesson. All right, so let's have a look at how this next 45 minutes or so will play out. We're going to briefly explore the theme of International Women's Day for 2022, and then we're going to jump in and explore the Lessons in Good Trouble world, which is a world available to you through Minecraft Education Edition. And I'll talk a little bit more about downloading the version of Minecraft Education Edition soon. And then, yeah, once you're in that world, you're actually going to help Malala rebuild a school in Pakistan. So let's have a look let's not have a look first. Let's firstly talk about installing Minecraft Education Edition. Now, if you already have Minecraft Education Edition installed on your computers or on your iPads, great. You can skip along if you're watching this later, or you can, follow the instructions and then just click pause on me, and then come back and click play once everybody's installed the software on their device. So like I said, you might already have it. That's great. If not, you can go directly to the website education.minecraft.net/get-started. And from there, you'll see a very simple button that says download. Whether you're on a Mac, a PC, a Chromebook, an iPad, it will download the right version for you because it knows what device you're on. And then once it's downloaded, you have to click a few buttons to say yes, 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 and I agree, and all those things. Then when you open it up, you'll be able to sign in with your school email address and password. So at this point, teachers, it's probably a good idea if you haven't downloaded, if your students don't have that downloaded, to just click pause and go and do that, and then come back and click play on our live event once everybody's got the software installed. And don't forget, if there's, if it's just a bit problematic for installing the software, you can always come back to this link at a later date and complete the live lesson as well. Okay, so once you're all installed, happy days. We're just going to have a bit of a chat about a few things before we actually jump into the game, because there's lots of important things that you can do outside of the Minecraft world to learn before we jump into the actual game. So today, 8th of March, is International Women's Day, celebrated around the world. And the theme for this year is break the bias. So I'm sure if your teacher wants to have a deeper conversation with you about that, they might pause this live event and have a conversation with you about that. I've got a few questions coming up to help you think about what that means, what break the bias means on International Women's Day. But the idea is that, if you see something that's not right, you call it out and you can change that. And that's both men, women, boys, girls. being able to change when you see something that's not right is really important. And Malala Yousafzai, who we'll talk about a little bit, is someone that called out bias when she saw that girls were not receiving education in her country and in other countries around the world. So you're going to have a whole class discussion. So again, teachers, at your discretion, feel free to click pause and have this conversation with your class. You might do a little bit of research if you've got a device in front of you, or if you're doing this from the school library and you've got some books available to you. But we've got 4 questions here that you might like to discuss as a class. So first of all, who is Malala Yousafzai? You might have someone in your class who already knows, or you might do a little bit of research on that. And then have a bit of a discussion around how do you think education varies across the world? So, you know, you're more than likely dialing in from a school in Australia. It might be in a city, it might be in a country town, it might be on the East Coast, it might be on the West Coast, it could be in Tasmania, it could be from anywhere around Australia. And we have different school experiences in Australia, but we have different school experiences around the world as well. So you might like to discuss that. And then thirdly, a question around, you know, why should boys and girls have equal access to education? And when you look at Malala's story, you'll see that in her country of Pakistan, not all girls are able to go to school for lots of different reasons. And then finally, the last question for your class discussion is around what is gender bias and what does that mean? And being able to understand what that means, I guess, is really important on International Women's Day. Yeah, again, teachers, if you want to take that moment to click pause and facilitate your class discussion and perhaps even a little bit of research, now is the time to do that. Okay, so let's have a look, and you'll explore this world in just a moment. It's probably a good idea to sort of just listen to me for the next 5-10 minutes or so about what this world is that you're going to explore and build in, and then press pause and take the time to explore and build in that world. Might take me a little bit longer. So in your research and your discussion, hopefully what you had a discussion around with Malala's story is that, you know, when she was a teenager, she's now a young woman in her early 20s. A group called the Taliban made it illegal for girls to get an education in her country of Pakistan. And so she was attacked for speaking out about that injustice. And since then, you know, she has created a movement to really fight for the right of every child, boys and girls, but really driving the good trouble, I guess, to ensure that all children receive an education. And in 2014, she received the Nobel Peace Prize, which is perhaps something you also might like to research, but it's an international prize, and she was the youngest person to ever receive that because of the work she did around ensuring that all girls get an education. You can read a little bit more about that inside of the world. But perhaps some of the conversations you had refer to, as part of your discussion, refer to this graphic. So as part of the work that Malala does, she has a magazine that shares the stories of girls. And so I grabbed this graphic from one of the editions of that magazine. And some of the current challenges with girls' education across the world is that nearly 130 million girls were not in school before the pandemic, before COVID. And now there's potentially another 20 million girls at risk of dropping out of school. And that's a really big concern. So things like COVID-19 have prevented some girls accessing education. Sometimes there's not enough money to support the girls to go to school. Climate change, you know, flood and fire and droughts are challenging for girls to get to school. Sorry, I should have hit next to expose that one. And then a couple of other reasons is that often there are discriminatory social norms which means that certain attitudes and policies that governments make can affect girls and their opportunity to learn. And sometimes there's a belief that girls are inferior to boys and they don't deserve to be educated, which again is a big challenge and something that Malala really fights for. And then finally, the poor quality of education. So, some girls, while they do receive some education, it's not of the highest quality. And so therefore they're not prepared for work. And, without being educated, they're really challenged by the work that they can do. And so the world that we're about to explore is a world that really does explore what we call social justice. So it's called Good Trouble. And there's a whole heap of places and people that you can actually visit and explore and learn about how people are fighting for justice, so that, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of their socioeconomics, so regardless of how much money they have, they can access and deserve things like education. We're specifically going to explore Malala's country of Pakistan for this particular world, but there's a whole heap of people that you can visit and places that you can visit in this world to learn about social justice. But because it is International Women's Day, we're going to go with Malala and explore Pakistan and rebuild a school. And so if we jump to what this will look like, so once you're in the world, and I will jump into the world live in a moment and explore this, but you see Malala over there on the second from the left. That's the world we're going to explore. And once you're in that world, you can explore a little bit, but ultimately you're looking for Malala standing over near a building, and there's a particular activity that she asks you to do. So now that that group called the Taliban have been removed from the village, you've been asked to work with her fund to help rebuild the girls' school that was destroyed. And so you build a school that will enable girls to benefit from that free, safe, high quality education. And in the chest near Malala, you'll actually be able to grab a whole heap of blocks that you can use to build that school. So you do have to sort of plan, the blocks are not unlimited. You don't have to build a massive school. This could be a school that's just for 30 girls, for example. So one class, maybe two classes of girls in the school. So do be mindful of that. It doesn't need to be a super big school. And so you've got this limited amount of resources to work with to build your school. And then you have a space in which you can build that school as well. So you will be in adventure mode. I will talk briefly about switching to creative mode just to get a camera and a book and quill tool in a minute. But ultimately, you'll switch back to adventure mode. I'll show all of this in the game. So switch back to those to be able to, build in your world with those limited resources. And so before you dive into the world, and again, this is probably a moment when teachers might pause and have a discussion about the planning of the school, but also potentially grabbing some real paper or using a digital planning tool to plan out your school and perhaps do a little bit of research as well. So this is the moment where you get to think about and plan your school build. So, what does a school that is free and safe look like? What does a school that provides quality education for girls in Pakistan look like? And what will your school need to include? So just to consider a few things, obviously you would have learning spaces, and those learning spaces might be indoors and outdoors. What are the outdoor spaces that you need, both for, exercise and, gathering and having food as well? Bathrooms, obviously, perhaps prayer rooms as well. And then secure access. Does there need to be a security fence around your school if it's going to be safe? Or perhaps are you going to be creative in the way that you build a secure school with your buildings, perhaps being the perimeter of your school with just a few gates here and there. Completely up to you. That's why you probably should take some time to think about and plan that school build. And so in your, if you do conduct some research, or if you don't have time to conduct some research, I grabbed a few pictures off of the internet of some schools in Pakistan. Some school, the top right is a school that's I think just been recently built. In the top left, we can see a classroom example. Bottom left, we can see a school which is, very limited in its resources, with just a simple room and outdoor learning spaces. And then on the bottom right-hand side, a much larger school in a city area. So yeah, they're just a couple of ideas around design and the things that you might include in your school. And so finally, once you've done your planning, you'll jump into the world. But what I want you to do as you build your school is record and reflect on that build, okay? Because that's sort of going to be the work that you can show your teacher. So to record and reflect inside of the game, it's good to set your game mode to creative for just a moment, and I'll show you how to do that. You add a camera and book quill to your inventory. You return the game mode to adventure once you've done that, and then take screenshots of your build throughout the process. And then you use the book and quill tool to then reflect on how your school is providing, the school that you build and the different stages. You might take photos of different parts of your school and explain why it is, a safe part of the school, or why it is providing a quality education for girls in Pakistan. All right. So again, perhaps something to pause on to figure out or take note of the steps that you need to take. But I'm going to show you how to do this in World as well. All right. So I'm going to assume that you have downloaded the Minecraft Education Edition software. And you are ready to play inside of that world, all right? I'm going to take you through it and showcase a few things. So again, it's up to you, teachers, whether you pause and play as required, or if you watch all of this and then set your students to task. And you can keep coming back and use the bar down the bottom to come back to certain bits. So yeah, once you're signed into the game, you'll click the new and featured button, because the Good Trouble world is actually a new world. And you'll look for the world called Lessons in Good Trouble and download that world and enter it as is without changing any settings. So a couple of things you need to be aware of, I guess, as the things to do. You should have downloaded the Minecraft game at that link and installed it. You have the form ready to ask any questions. They're the questions that we'll be able to answer live. If you've joined live today. Otherwise, if you have any questions for us, teachers will be able to reach out to my email address, and I'm sure Amanda will pop that into the chat right now. It's really simple, megantowns@microsoft.com, if you're asking questions after the fact. And then finally, for the teachers, if you are going to do this lesson perhaps a little bit later, there is a teacher guide that you can use to guide you through the use of this Good Trouble world. All right, enough of me showing slides, which are just so boring. I much prefer to jump into the game and have lots of fun with that game. So here we are. I have the Minecraft game opened. First of all, over on the right-hand side is where you can change your skin, so I can see that I'm all signed in. If you click on the coat hanger, I really like the new Friends skin pack, which has been released since I last played the game at least. And seeing as I'm having a very purple head at the moment, I'm going to choose my purple head friend over here and change my skin, which is always good. You can't create your own skins, but you can choose from those ones inside of the game. And then, as indicated before, we click on New and Featured. There's a whole heap of new worlds in here, including one recently added, Active Citizen, which also features Malala in conjunction with the Nobel Peace Center. But today, for this lesson, we're going to choose Lessons in Good Trouble. So there's some information there, but all you need to do is click on Create World. Teachers, you can also share the link to that world by clicking on the button from your own version of the game. And you can actually share that into Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom as well, which is pretty cool. So, generating world. My internet appears to be performing okay. Woo! All right. So, like I said before, there's a whole heap of different social justice campaigns and people and the like that you can explore. There was an American politician who really drew on the idea of good trouble, and you can learn from him. His name is John Lewis. However, for this specific lesson that we're delivering based on International Women's Day, we're just going to head over to where Malala is, which is the Equal Education for All, what we call NPC, non-playing character. And if you right click on her, you'll be able to learn a little bit about the world, you know, the country in which she lived in 2008, and then go and explore that country in 2012 after the Taliban had left. Now, for students, if you need some support with reading the text on the non-playing characters, when you right-click on your non-playing character, you'll see a little book icon. And by clicking on that book icon, it will open up what's called Immersive Reader. And that will load up the text that is on the screen for you. And you'll have a few options. You'll be able to click on play to have that read aloud to you. Now, I don't think I shared sound, so you won't hear it. Right, but you will see it track along. Perhaps you did hear it because it came through my speakers. So that will help you to read that text aloud. In the top right-hand corner, you've got some options to make that bigger. You can also change the font size. You can turn off the text spacing or keep it on. And you've got different color contrasts as well. So some students like white on black, it makes it easier to read. And some students who might have just certain types of dyslexia, for example, will prefer different color options, and you can explore some more there. With the second line along, you've got the option to identify syllables and nouns and verbs and adjectives and all sorts of fabulous things like that. But then on the final icon in the top right-hand corner, you've got the ability to translate those words. So, for example, if we come down here, I can translate, what am I going to do today? First of all, sorry, I can also choose English Australia, which will give me an Australian voice. So if I click play now, right, that usually switches over to an Australian voice. If I select document. Right, so now we have that Australian voice because I chose the whole document. But we can also translate to other languages as well. So if I choose Bulgarian, for example, and select that whole document, I can see that in Bulgarian. I can click play. Right, and that will read that aloud. So remember to look for those icons in the top right-hand corner, and you can translate your language either by word or by document. If you do it by word, what you're able to do is click on a word, not all words, but some words, and you will see a picture dictionary version of the word, and you'll be able to click the English word and the translated word as well. So yeah, that's the Immersive Reader. So look for that in the little book icon when you open an NPC. Okay, so let's go and visit Pakistan 2012. So right click on Malala, we click on Pakistan, and we're brought to this world where, again, that American politician, as I mentioned, John Lewis, you can learn a little bit about the good trouble, you know, that Malala began in 2012. You know, she's been an inspiration to attempting to ensure that girls have, that everyone has an equal right to education, and girls, just like boys, and women, just like men, have access to that education. And so then if you right click on Malala, you learn a little bit about her. You can use that Immersive Reader, as I said. And then once you have moved through there, look for the yellow pole, right? That tells you that there's an activity, right? There's a heap of activities to do in this world. But the one we want to focus on today is the rebuilding of the school. So if you move over to where Malala is, here she is, you can right click on her. And we see that now that the Taliban is removed, you've been asked to work with her and her fund to help rebuild the school that was destroyed, and build a school that is free, safe, and provides high quality education. And in that chest, if you right click on that, you will find a whole heap of materials, limited, but you'll find them nonetheless. So you can left click on those and bring those down to build a new school. So I'm just going to grab a few of those. I am going to warn everyone that I'm not the greatest Minecraft builder, just putting that out there from the beginning. Got some fence there, books, of course. I love that there is actually so many books in this world. We'll get some signs. Signs are always good to label things. There's some amazing chemistry items in here as well. So there's a cool chemistry edition in Minecraft Education Edition. So you can bring some of those down. Cartography table. I don't know what that is. So many materials here to put in our school. So I'll bring all of those down. Must have a crafting table. Sandstone wall. Oh, a lectern. Fabulous. There's some more chemistry items. And some music as well. So get a jukebox and some music to play on that jukebox. Oh, beehive for outside. And let's get some slabs as well, and then white concrete, which might work for our floor. All right, that's enough for now. I'll come back and get more if I need to. Now, what I mentioned before is that it's always good to record your build, okay? And it's sort of the work that you'll be able to give to your teacher to show them what you've done in your school building. So you'll only do this temporarily. You'll need to switch from adventure mode to creative mode. Now, some of you will know that you can put that in as a code by clicking on the T button to bring up chat. Do / game mode, and then you can switch. Oh, that's right, cheats unenabled. So let's click on escape. We'll click settings and actually manually change that. So I'll change that to creative, just temporarily. Okay, we'll see that the difficulty is peaceful, so that there'd be no mobs, which is what we want. So temporarily change your game mode to creative. We'll come back into the game. And what I want you to do is give yourself what am I going to get you to give? A camera and a book and quill tool. So you'll click on E to bring that up. Give yourself a camera. And then also give yourself the book and quill tool. Probably should do this before you grab all your stuff, actually, now I've thought about it. But anyway, that's okay. I'll just move those over there for now. So yeah, grab a book and quill and a camera tool, okay? And then click on escape, select settings, and go back into adventure mode, right? And keep it as peaceful. So just a reminder to click on escape, select settings, and then change your mode from adventure to creative to get your items, and then back to adventure. Okay. So now I've got my items. I actually might take a photo of my before shot, right? What does my school look like before I start building it? So I put the camera in my hand. I right click while I've got that camera in my hand, and it takes a photo of the school. The other thing I can do is actually place it on the ground in front of me. Oops. Because I'm still in adventure mode. I can't do it on the ground in adventure mode, so that's okay. I will simply just take photos of what's in front of me. So once I've taken that photo, I might do a little bit of building. I'll come back to the photos really soon. And we're in adventure mode, so there's only certain areas where we can build. Maybe I'll... yeah. I have a feeling that we rebuild this school. Silly me. So the areas where you can build in adventure mode, yes, will be this school area. So it was damaged, so you're going to change this one up. So I'll be able to either knock some stuff down, but also build as well. So I might knock that one out. So let's build a few more blocks there. And then I can even grab a sign. Right, you're going to do a much better job of this than me. I can put a sign on the wall there and pop that in there. Welcome to your new school. Right, and I hit enter and then escape. There's that sign on the wall. There's a whole heap of things that you can do. Like I said, you're going to build a much better school than I will. So you might fix those walls up. Where are we? We've also got, like I said, those books. So I might put some books along the walls here. Again, grab my camera and take a photo of that. Very good. So yeah, that's your challenge to you know, rebuild this school that was destroyed. And then you should also, let's see if we can build out here in this space. No, not yet. Other spaces that we can build on. If not, you can, nope, it's just within the confines of that. So you might build your own little outdoor area, but within the confines of that school space. So perhaps you knock out some of these walls here and build an outdoor garden with those beehives, for example. You've got the chemistry items as well in there. So you might build yourself a bit of a chemistry lab. Let's turn this end of the school into a chemistry lab. There we go. And then, again, like I said before, you might build some sort of bathroom as well. So we can pop that in there. And I just realized that that is not stone. There we go. As you can see, students, I am and then we pop a door in, right? And that can be our bathroom, for example. You know, you're going to be much better Minecraft designers and builders of a school than what I am. So again, don't forget to take your progress photos as you build. So let me just come back over here. And we'll take a photo of that little lab there. Oops, all right, just clicked on it. There we go. Oh, and now I'm in a space where I can build. You can also do that selfie mode with your camera and right click on the camera once you've placed it and take a photo. There I am. So what do we do with all those photos? You know, once you've finished your build or during your build, you can make sure you've got the book and quill tool in your hand. And when you right click on that, you've got the ability to write as well as add pictures, right? So I could say today I started to rebuild a school in Pakistan. And then let's click on that little pen icon, and that's where I can add a picture. So I might say, where are we? Oh, that wasn't a very good photo. Delete that one. Let's add this one in. Let's work there. All right, and then I can hit next. Oh, hang on, I can put a caption on the photo. So I can, sorry. Yeah, that's right. So if I right click and go back into that, sorry. Let me just delete that page. So I can add some text in here. You know, this is a photo of the library. Keep going through. Here's the before shot of the floor, for example. And then I can just keep adding to that. Okay, so you've got your pages there for text, plus you've got the ability to add in your pictures as well. So yeah, feel free to use that book and quill tool to create a record of your school build. Like you might take before shots, you might take after shots, and be able to record what your school build looks like. You might also take shots from the outside. So if we come out here, once your building is complete, which mine is not, you can take those photos from the outside as well. So yeah, spend that time to plan and then rebuild your school, right? Working off the fact that it'll be a one classroom school, and you can add all those different elements from the chest into your space. So explore those. There are the chemistry items as well, so check those ones out, as well as the beehive and all the other items that you could pop into a school. Once you've finished your build and you've finished your collection of or reflection and pictures with the book and quill tool, you can export it. All right, but before you export it, you may want to also complete what will be the final activity, which will be to write your own story. So, you know, thinking about the good trouble that Malala raised in Pakistan to ensure that girls received an equal and fair education. She was standing up for girls and creating good trouble to serve that cause. So you can either use the extra pages that you add to your book and quill tool to write a story about when you have stood up for someone else. You can also use real paper and pen if you or your teacher prefers you to do that. But ultimately, yeah, make that choice about whether you use the book and quill tool in Minecraft or real paper to write your own story, your own good trouble story of when you've stood up for someone else, just like Malala has done for girls, both across Pakistan and other countries across the world as well. And then once you've finished your story, finished your build, and you're ready to publish your book back within the game of Minecraft, you'll be able to select that book and quill tool again, right click, and then sign the book. So let me just delete that page. There we go. I can click on sign, and then rebuilding the school. Rebuild. There we go. And then when I'm ready, I can sign and close it. And it's actually going to export it as a PDF. So now that I've got my book and it's signed, I can see that it's enchanted. And if I right click, I can export that. All right, so I could go into a new folder. Let me just click there. And school rebuild, Megan T. And I can click on save. So that's now saved my book. I can't change that book anymore, so you have to make sure when you've signed the book that it's absolutely final. And then let me just jump into that folder on another computer. Sorry, on another computer, on another window. And then there's my PDF saved to that folder where I saved it. And when I open it, this is what it looks like. So there'll be all the text that I added, pictures, and any stories and things like that I've written. But yours will be much better. It'll be much more comprehensive, better laid out with greater photos of your build and more descriptions about the progress of your build. But ultimately that file can then be, uploaded to your class team or whatever platform your teacher uses. Or it can be shared by email, or again, however your teacher wants you to share that file. So yeah, book and quill tool, great tool for you to use to record what you are doing inside the game of Minecraft, and great for you to share what you've done with your rebuild of the school in Pakistan. So have fun. Teachers, please reach out to my email address, megantowns@microsoft.com, if you have any questions while you're potentially playing this lesson back later. And students, hope you enjoy playing those worlds. If your teacher is on Twitter, feel free to get them to share that, share the pictures of your worlds using our Microsoft Australia handle, which is @MSAUEDU. We would love to see some of the things you have built inside this world in rebuilding the school with Malala. So yeah, have fun and happy International Women's Day 2022.